I'm the Simple Car Guy, and in this video I will show you how to upgrade your Mazda 6 entertainment system from this to this. Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are modernizing this 15-year-old Mazda for my friend by installing this 9-inch touchscreen head unit with built-in Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I'm excited to see how this will work, so let's take the car apart and get it installed. Alright, so here's everything that came in the kit. We have the actual bracket that's going to hold our screen. That's going to go right there in the car. So easy enough. We have the 9-inch screen. A lot of connectors here in the back, so we'll figure that out as we go. We have one set of wires here, so that's going to be our GPS, Wi-Fi, 4G, and a lot of other connections, Bluetooth and things like that. Another one is just right here, so this is going to be for a 360 camera. I'm not sure if we're going to be installing that. And then this side right here, that's going to be our CAN bus interpretation device, basically. So what this does is takes all of the input from the car's computer, and translates that to something that this screen can understand. The first step is going to be removing this entire middle section, and then removing all of this and the glove box compartment. I think you just kind of go for it. Now we may need to put the car in neutral. There's two Phillips screws in there we gotta remove. Alright, not to drop it. There's a screw in the glove box compartment, yeah. Looks like we're gonna need a 10 mil. Huh? Oh shit. Ah, come on. Okay, head unit is disconnected, so it's part one. Okay, so now we just have to disconnect these wires right here. Okay, before we do any connections, let's remove this part right here. Okay, so this is the new one. This is the old one. We're going to transfer the clock mechanism from that to that. It's going to be these clips right here. Hopefully we don't break them. We probably will. Okay, semi-successful. Hey, didn't break anything. All right, out with the old. I'm going to put the new one in. Plastic matches really well. That's nice. Yep. Okay, this clip broke. We were expecting at least one of them to break. Okay, mostly in. All right, clips are in. New bracket is ready. Okay, so the easiest way to figure out where all the wires go is to just match them by the connector size. It looks like we have a radio one, we have a 4G. This is going to be the antenna from the car, so if you want to get AM or FM, optical audio out. This is going to be your power. So this is probably going to be in here. Yeah, that's it right there. And we have a bunch of different connectors, so most of these are going to be probably like 360 camera, USBs, and all the other stuff. Okay, so this should be our piggy tail, basically, that goes between the car and this device. So this is going to come from the car, go back into the car, and then what we need comes through here, goes back of the unit, plugs right there. So that goes in back of the unit. And then we have our CAN bus box right here. So it takes the car signal and basically translates it to something that this can read. I'll plug that in. We're just gonna have to find room for this and this, but at this point we just have to find the plugs that go on the car for these things right here. Here's the connector that I was talking about. So as you can see, it's the same connector that we have on here. Basically we're plugging this, which is our device, into the car. So this is the CAN bus information that's coming from the car, plugging the device into it, and then this will go back into the head unit, which will provide the amplification for our audio and everything else. Okay, so we plug that in. And this goes literally right behind the head unit. Clicked in. And as you can see, it's already powering on. It's upside down, but it's powering on. I don't think much else is gonna work, but we're gonna test it to see what we are missing. All right, so here's the configuration on the back of the screen. Unfortunately, we were not able to get the screen to work in reverse, so it doesn't go into reverse when we put the car in reverse, and that's because this screen came configured for 360 camera, and we decided not to put the 360 camera in. But basically, we have this harness that goes in, that powers the little fan in the back here, as well as this whole wire, the power wire, goes in the back right there into the main plug on the car, which then gets plugged into the head unit of the actual vehicle. And then we have the CAN bus on the side here that gets plugged in to, transcode all of the stuff for us for the head unit. Then we have a couple USB cables. So these two are the USB cables. So we have, let me pull those out. So we have two USB cables for plugging in Android Auto and all that stuff if we want to, or play audio. We also have GPS, so that's screwed in just right there. And we have the 4G antenna as well. And well, that's basically it. So now we're just gonna put everything back in. And as far as the head unit, that works. It will play music. Android Auto will work. But the reversing camera, we're gonna have to figure out next time. Giving up on the reversing camera was a tough pill to swallow for me, but this system isn't as plug and play as they advertise. And of course, there were 0 instructions included. We decided to skip the camera install until we get more information from the seller. And if we end up installing it, I will be sure to make a video on how to connect all of the wires. Anyway, if you are not looking for a reversing camera and Apple CarPlay and Android Auto is the goal, we are still on track. We attached the screen to the included dashboard kit using the included brackets and 6 tiny little screws. So we have the screen mounted. That looks pretty good. Okay, now there is one plug that we need to do, which is this one right here. This is the clock. The reassembly went fairly smooth, but it is tedious as there isn't much space to see what you are doing, and the bracket has to be precisely slotted into a couple of holes on the dash in order to be even all around. We used a couple of screwdrivers which seemed to work well, and then secured it all with a couple of screws. I also routed the 2 USB cables to the side of the glove box so that we can easily access them in the future. At the same time, you have to clean up all of the wires so that the air vent can go back in. I used a little bit of electrical tape to hold the wires in place to make it easier. From there, all that's left is to hide the wires as much as possible and push the entire console back in. Then put the remaining screws in and reassemble the lower console area as well. Lastly, the bolt that holds the head unit in goes back in through the glove box, and then the glove box compartment can be put in as well, and we are done. Now we can check out what this unit can actually do and how well it works. Alright, as you can see, it turns on very quickly. You don't have to wait for it to turn on for 5 minutes or anything like that. Even after it's been sitting for a night, it still takes maybe 15 to 20 seconds to it fully turn on. From here, you are greeted with this screen, which can be changed, but it basically allows you to play your Bluetooth stuff. So you have your Bluetooth audio just right there. You have your navigation, so if you want to put the actual SIM card in it and have 4G in here, or you can actually share your phone's Wi-Fi or things like that, you can do that as well. And then you'd have navigation that's actually built into the unit. Of course, we have a few different applications installed here. So we have the APK installer. You can basically install any Android head unit type software and even just regular software. We have, so that's like navigation, we have settings, we can change the themes. We also have an auxiliary in app, so you can basically hook up a DVD player or anything like that, and that will work. We have Bluetooth, so this is where you would go to set up your phone to play Bluetooth. Chrome, so you can browse the internet. And of course, you have a few other items here as well, like Google Maps and Facebook and file management and music, so you can upload music directly to this unit, or plug in a USB drive into one of the USB ports and do it that way. So quite a few different applications on here, but obviously for us, the most important one is going to be this T-Link 5, which is your wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And there it is. So it's as easy as that. All you have to do is connect to the CarBlink Wi-Fi. Once you're connected, it basically asks you if you want to use CarPlay. You say yes, and then it takes you straight to your CarPlay. Of course, this is a standard CarPlay that you would get on any display from now on. You have your map, which you can click on, and then it gives you the full version of the map. You can go back to the menu. You can see your navigation controls right here and whatever's playing on your phone at the moment. You can also go to the main menu where you have all of the listed items. So you have your phone calls that you can make, listen to music, obviously whatever other apps you have installed on the device. Of course, we can play music through it as well. So if I go to, for example, YouTube Music, we can just go to, I don't know, Super Mix and just play something. So the volume can be controlled through the steering wheel as well, so we can turn it up and down. Of course, you can use the on-screen control as well, but I'm gonna turn that down, and you can pause the music through the steering wheel as well. And of course, you can easily switch between the CarPlay and the regular screen, the Android screen, right? So we can go to Car, and now we're back, and you can use whatever other apps that you want. But if you want to go back to CarPlay, just click on that, and now you are in CarPlay. But yeah, this is pretty standard CarPlay that works the same as you would expect it to work, right? The resolution on the screen does help it a lot. Looks very smooth, looks very nice, and definitely helps with that size of the screen. So the icons are big, it's easy to see the map, everything is easy to move around, and it's responsive. So yeah, that works pretty well. And if we go back to the main screen, we have the steering wheel configuration screen basically. So here we can tell which button does what on the steering wheel. So let me turn this sideways a little bit, maybe like that, maybe you can see. So these buttons we can pre-configure. So for example, we can hit start, right? And then for volume up, we're gonna press volume up, and then we have to press the corresponding button on the steering wheel. So I'm just gonna press up. There you go. Now we wanna do volume down. So I'm gonna press volume down, and I'm gonna press volume down on the steering wheel. Done, right? So once you configure the buttons, you can do all of the ones that, you know, would normally control anything with the stereo. You hit end, click OK, and we're done. So now it's configured to raise the volume up and down. So look at that. I am, see, volume up, volume down, just like that. Now it works. I also made these buttons to switch the music, and the mute button's just right there. So mute, unmute. Pretty cool. It's very nicely integrated into the car. So what do you guys think of this unit? Is it worth the hassle of installing it? For me, it does modernize the car quite a bit by adding modern features and integrating into the existing controls. But there is some work to get it installed. Let me know what you think down below. I have also linked this unit in the description if you'd like to get one yourself and give this a try. But I am not affiliated with any of the companies selling this. Anyway, if you'd like to check out a portable Apple CarPlay and Android Auto unit, why not click on the video that just popped up? Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.